Alright, Shalom, giving all praises, honors, and glories unto Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders and bishops of Great Millstone that told me this truth that will well. Shalom to the elect, scattered to the four corners of the earth. My name is Kodash Poyah. And here you have an article. I have about three articles rather, with these like water advisories going on in these different states right now, right? Especially, and also with talks, residents, people, right, recording on the dams, overflowing and whatnot, which that's heavy because that prevents floods and electricity disruptions, you know, and people around the cities and states in these areas complaining about the lack of rain and things like that. Well, you got weather warfare as well, modification. But it says boil water advisory impacts 9,000 residents northeast of Flagstaff. This was just published, right? So it says, real quick, officials in Coconino County issued a boil water advisory to residents of Donny Park Wednesday. It comes after Arizona Public Service turned off power to nearly 6,000 customers because of how high wildfire danger this week. And, it's how ironic. We're heading to the summer, the season where it's the summertime, right? So different places all over is going to get more hot, right? And we know with these wildfires and things like that, hey, if you know, you know. You watching, don't be ignorant and say it's devices, that's the scripture say. Don't be fooled by, what's going on, because it's all problem, reaction, solution to cause more restrictions on where you could go and destroying these areas, and it's what it said, turned off power for 6,000 residents, customers, because of the wildfire. Like, what? See? But, then over here, there's another article. It says, Corpus Christi plans to declare a water emergency. What does that mean? Right? That was just recently published as well. It says, no modern American city has ever run out of water, but chances are rising that Corpus Christi could be the first absent a biblical rainfall event. Its reservoirs are on track to completely dry up by next year. Speaking in a biblical type of proportion of people not having water. I mean, you in the supermarkets, it'll hold, if the trucks was to stop, if the bus, if the boats was to stop, delivering. The market's only got 3 days, maybe 4 days worth of goods. You could survive alone. What, about 2, maybe almost 2 weeks. Depends on your body as well. But nearly 2 weeks without food. But without water, your body could dehydrate quick. And that could cause all types of malfunctions in your brain and your lung and all of that. Dehydration, cause you sweating and depends on, so especially in survival mode. But yeah. So that's a big deal because that's scriptural. You know, hey, the Lord brought droughts, right? Even during the time, I believe it was Elijah, where they stopped the rain for 3 years, and the people was complaining about their crops. They couldn't, their animals. You can't do anything really without water, you know, and that's a drought as well, right? That's why you had these people panic buying with primarily the main essentials, which is water, which is the main go-to, right? Use everything with that. I mean, almost everything, if you think about it. But anyway, this is real quick in the book of Isaiah chapter 19 verse 5. It says, "And the waters shall fail from the sea, and the river shall be wasted and dried up." You know, like how the Lord dried up the rivers in the Middle East. Believe it was Euphrates, if I'm not mistaken. So, you dry up certain rivers, that affects the areas as well. But there's another scripture real quick in the book. Hold on. I want to get that. Yeah, Khan in the book. Yup. The prophet Elijah prayed, and it did not rain in Israel for 3 years and 6 months to punish the nation for idolatry. So that's a punishment. It says in the book, of James, chapter 5, verse 17, Elias was a man subject to like passions as we are, and he prayed earnestly that it might not rain, and it rained not on the earth by the space of 3 years and 6 months. And he prayed again, and the heaven gave rain, and the earth brought forth her fruit. Come. Then you got Book of 1 Kings 17 and 1. There shall not be dew nor rain these years, but according to my word. Elijah tells Ahab, come. So yeah, that's, like it said, a drought as part of a punishment. That brings plagues, part of the plagues, things like that as well. Even in Egypt, when the Lord turned the water into blood, right? And now that, when it turns red, they'll say, oh, that's algae, certain different colors of algae, whatever. But that's also going to be a part of that famine that the scriptures speak about. Then you have here, this was another article, drought grips Great Plains, threatening U.S. wheat harvests and forcing cattle herd reductions. God. So it says, hold on. Khan, let's read it real quick. It says, according to a Bloomberg report, farmers and ranchers across the Great Plains are facing a severe spring drought that is withering winter wheat crops and pressuring livestock operations, with conditions showing little sign of immediate relief. The dryness, following weeks of minimal rainfall and a late winter heat wave. Did you just hear that? Forgive me if I'm reading quick. It says the dryness following weeks of minimal rainfall and a late winter heat wave that sparked widespread pasture fires is expected to continue. Is expected. So, this was recently published, which also causes, like I said, famine is all a chain reaction, right? So seek ye the Lord while he may be found, call upon him while he is near. Because even when our people was in the wilderness, complaining, the Lord ended up, having water come out of a rock, showing it's nothing impossible. That's a light thing. Scriptures speak about how his servants shall eat. They're going to eat, drink. They be going, be satisfied, filled. How? Don't worry how. He has it already set up. While these people are setting up bunkers and, they're panicking in fear, right? Fear is the opposite of faith. You panicking. And that's all right to prepare, having little, using wisdom just to have little things to help you maneuver if things may go left, whatever. But you're stocking up things, meaning you're expecting to stay there. We're in a time where people are going to be running all over the place, like that movie Bushwick, if you ain't see that movie, where it was civil unrest. Because of what? Because of famine, because of the lack of bread, because of the lack of water, because of the lack of any type of necessities and commodities. Look at the oil. But anyway, I just wanted to bring this out real quick. Because, at the end of the day, this is the water, man. This is the real water, the living water. You trust in the Lord, there could be no water at all. And the Lord could just have it to where you're not even thirsty. He'll just make you just like, you cool. Like, why everybody's like, going, who got the water? I don't know, I ain't got no water. So how you still good? I don't know. Because I trust in the Lord. Why they dehydrated, foaming out the mouth. So you got to really believe that there's nothing impossible with the Lord. If you ain't got nothing, that's how he had it. To trust more on him. Right? Just like the prophets did. That's why the scriptures say the things that was written aforetime was written for our learning. Because what? It's going to happen again. But everything you read about, that's when, it's all going to be practiced. When you finally put in these final situations we read about, Jacob's troubles, hour of temptation, because now what the Lord mentioned, these are the beginning of sorrows, wars of rumors of wars, famine, plagues, pestilence, right? Divisions among the people, like Esther, that saw as well. So, but anyway, Lord willing, that was edifying. Till next time, I'm say shalom.